Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Division 3 here in the Midwest Esports League. And today the league makes its return to the Zandvoort circuit here in the Netherlands. This 4.2-kilometer circuit sat upon the coast of the North Sea, features 14 corners and 2 DRS zones, but the main attraction has to be the banked corners in turns 1, 3, and 14, a sight that F1 hasn't seen since 2007. At Indianapolis. It's a circuit renovated to modern-day specs whilst not losing its old-school charm. Truly one of the last of its kind. Hotspot with you on the call for this evening. Happy to be back in my alma mater. That being Division 3, of course, I raced here a couple of seasons ago. Since then, the grid has... Oh, that was quite loud. I apologize for that. Since then, the grid has changed quite a bit. But the only thing that hasn't changed is the action that is on display here in this division. I certainly believe this to be one of the more competitive divisions in Midwest. Certainly, almost every time out is certainly a sight to behold. And speaking of sight to behold, that is certainly the case so far, especially if you are part of that Williams team, who currently sit atop the constructor standings by almost 100 points over that of McLaren, back in second at 263, Alfa Romeo 257, Aston Martin at 193, and Mercedes at 183, round out the top 5 stars. As far as the Drivers' Championship goes, we've got, I believe we do have those substitutes in for the, well, that's odd. I could have swore we had both Williams on tap tonight, but Knuckles, our current championship leader, he doesn't appear to be in the lobby, and Noganator sitting in second place. Not all that far behind him, only a couple points down. Looks like Final Flame is retired from the session. We'll go ahead and assume that he had a qualifying ban to serve. Do I know? Not really. Again, my first attempt in casting Division 3 this season. Should be very interesting. Oh, but it looks like Brian Mosser retired as well. That one going into the banked corner then of turn 3. And that, it has to be said. Can I find a car? Well, here's Soy Loco. Where is the car? That is up top of the circuit there. So I can assume he's lost that going through the curb over turn 2. It is a very tricky corner to handle, considering it's over the crest of one hill, and then it goes off camber back then down into that banked corner, so that will be slightly challenging to go over there. First up on the timed lap, it's going to be Big Rye Guy in the Haas. Let's see what he's got here as he heads his way down in towards turn 1. I think he even hit the grass on the outside of the corner there. Very interesting turn 1 in the race perspective. Multiple lines into it, heavy braking zone, but you got to keep that wheel, consistent throughout. Turns 2 and 3. 3, watch the slingshot coming out of the corner. It's a beautiful sight to behold here in F1 nowadays. Very narrow first sector of this track, and as you get to the timing line, this is a very tricky braking zone of turn 7. Braking zone's off. Got the curb on the outside. Got to beware of your overing, getting too much on the throttle and getting oversteer there, making his way now in towards, this is, God's sakes, in towards turn 10, right before the DRS zone curb on the exit, which you really won't use that much. DRS into the 90-degree right-hander of turn 11 and 12. Very interesting transition here between these two corners. Heavy over the first curb, and then you want to hit the middle of the apex through the second. And then now in towards turn 13 and eventually 14, the banked corner here. So fun to look at this as the cars go around. It's a pain in the wet. The wet we won't have to deal with today. It's going to be dry throughout both sessions. As crosses the line goes 111, 704. That looks to be a very solid first attempt. There wasn't much that I could see. Oh, I believe that's Soy Loco who's just had a spin there. I was trying to... Oh, and he is right in the middle of the circuit here, isn't he? He's gotten in the way of both dead text message and his teammates of EA Worst Company. Now, I will say, I'm glad I didn't spend the money on this name, but by God almighty, somebody had to do it, and I'm very thankful it's him. EA Worst Company, making his way through Sector 3 now. DRL Racer X has just gone second, 112.389, and Maxo has gone 113.680. So it's a little bit of a gap then, as Gabaguy just goes third, 113.306, as EA Worst Company, 112.406, and I'd like to believe, perhaps, Was he slightly held up by his teammate of Soy Loco spinning through that section of the track? I would like to assume that EA Worst Company is going to have a better go than he did most previous. Next up, Pork Chops is on an outlap. Passing him is the McLaren of, well, it's not Jose Miguel, it's his teammate of Alex. Making his way through 13 and 14 now. For some reason, it doesn't really look like, is this a competitive lap? To the line he goes. He does go 6th. 113, 488. He's 1.7 off the pace at the moment. Next up will be the Williams. That being of the Noganator. This will be his timed lap here. Let's go along with him as he makes his way in towards the first corner. Let's see how he handles it. Currently sitting in second in the point standings, back to Knuckles, 183 to 177 respectfully. So he's got some work to do, but I tell you what, still early days in the season as Jose Miguel goes 111.509. Puts about 0.2 of a second back to Big Rye Guy. Noganator's gotten a little bit of oversteer there coming out of turn 3. You can see it, he snapped the car just a smidge. Does go purple sector 1, however. Noganator, remember, took the opening round win in Saudi Arabia. Unfortunately, I was not along for that one, but I'm sure it was a good race. Jose Miguel took round 2 in Australia and Japan. Round 3 was taken by none other than Johnny Damon. The very interesting one this is, Maxo has retired, and that one is coming out of, oh gee, can I find a car that's, we'll be able to see this on board here. We're on with Gavaga at the moment. Coming through, this is through turn 9. It's a very odd place of the track to lose the car. Has he perhaps hit too much of the curb on exit of 7? Yeah, that's what I would guess. Yeah, I'm thinking he took the curb there, the exit curb, too heavily and spun the tire. That is a very odd section of the track to lose the car, I'll say that one. It looks like Jose Miguel's coming back through the line now. Very interesting stretch of the calendar this. These first, the last race of Japan, this week of the Netherlands, and then next week back to Hungary. 3 old school circuits in a row, and I say old school, very difficult to overtake on, very much, I don't want to say lack of DRS, but it doesn't really exist, does it? And 3 tracks where qualifying is going to mean everything as far as on-track position is concerned. So these next couple of races here are really going to be testing the patience of our Division 3 contenders. In these next couple of weeks. Soy Loco, I believe, is going to be starting a timed lap here. Let's see if the Red Bull driver can properly get himself situated now. I'm going to apologize in advance if you can hear my fan that's set up on my desk here. No, and it looks like Soy Loco is coming in. It was an 87-degree Fahrenheit day here in the beautiful state of New Hampshire in the United States. A day which, about 3 days ago, was in the mid-40s. So, yeah, it's quite warm. So I apologize if you get any of the static coming off of that. I watched a bit of the Division 1 cast last week. As it turns out, it was a little bit quiet. Of course, I've changed around my setup a bit, and the mic was off to my right. So I think perhaps I just wasn't talking into it directly, and that may have been the problem. Pork Chop's on a timed lap now. Actually, I'd say he's on a timed lap. Let's see what he's got when he comes to the line. I do not think this is going to be his timed attempt here. Pork Chops is going to be his last season racing here in F1. Bittersweet for him as, obviously he's been around this league since the beginning. But I believe he is also welcoming children. At least one child, if not 2. I don't remember it's off the top of my head. Either way, congratulations to the big man himself. Definitely a big moment for him. And I tell you what, Pork Chops, it's good to see that he's going to keep remaining involved in this league despite not being able to race. That just shows the testament of how much work that he and the rest of the admin team have put together into making this league as best as it possibly can. Let's go along with Pork Chops. This time, across the line he goes. In towards the first corner, you can see his batteries going down. This is his timed attempt. Takes about a middle line going through that first corner. A lot of the exit curb, that may not have helped him through turn 2. In towards the banked corner of turn 3. Oh, I think he's locked up on the way in there. Tough to tell. It didn't quite look as tidy as I'm sure he would have liked it. And now, as he makes his way through turns 5 and 6, to the timing line he goes. And it is 25.56. Oh, that is a very good time through that sector of track. Turns 7 and 8 now. Let's see what he's got. Once again, I would say taking a more conservative line through the corner, not necessarily aggressive on the way in or on the way out. He's kept it very, very much in the middle of the track, more or less, not really using the curb. That curb you don't want to use through the inside of turn 10. That will spin you. DRS enabled now in towards turn 11. It is purple sector 2 for Pork Chops here. Through 11, through 12. Let's see what he's got. Exiting the corner. Very nice on the exit curb. Keeps it tidy in towards 13 and 14. Bit of curb usage there. He's going to ride the middle line through the track. Want to carry as much speed as you can. Almost kisses the outside wall there. He's used all of his battery. He only manages P11, 113, 427, I want to say that was. It looked a very solid lap. I'm wondering where he ended up losing that time. That one has to be said. Slightly odd. I thought that was a very good attempt for him. As it turns out, some left to be desired. Who do we have next? It looks like perhaps the Alfa Romeo of Ray on an outlap here. Coming to the line. Alfa Romeo, he'll be starting one now. I believe we do have a Red Bull coming up next. It's not Soy Loco. It's his teammate of EA Worst Company. Maybe EA Worst Company. It is the best online name I've seen in a while. 112.024. Shaves off a couple of tenths there and puts himself into the top 5 for EA Worst Company. I believe we do have Pork Chops. It was either a spinner's getting out of the way through Sector 2 now. Past goes the Red Bull of Soy Loco. DRS open for him. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say this is not his timed lap attempt here. As you can see, it does look he's a bit far off the pace. Oh, I believe that's Ray, who is taking a spin. We were just on with him moments ago. And see, that's where I believe... Well, I believe that is where Brian Mosser had the spin. It was either him or Maxo that spun out there, exiting turn number 7. And I think that's what ended up happening. He took that curb and did spin around. And that spin we've just seen by Ray very much confirms my suspicions as far as that. Believe next up we do have EDA Murfancelli, who's making his way on an outlap now. Murfancelli has had a Division 1 stint, former Division 1 driver. At times he looked amongst the cream of the crop, and at other times it looked as if there was still some left to be desired for EDA Murfancelli, but he's back here in Division 3, and he's looking to reclaim himself within these top couple of ranks here, hopefully hopefully have himself a good season, get himself back into Division 2 next season. It's very difficult, though, because I can tell you, I don't believe he raced this, not this season, but Season 8, I don't believe he raced either that, or I honestly forgot. That does happen quite a bit with some drivers, it has to be said. You know, this game has not been kind to the esports community. We've lost a lot of good names, haven't we? Ryan Rod's, in my mind, well, he's full-time in iRacing, and you really can't blame him for making that transition, but before you think the transition was a little bit more difficult to make, it seems like nowadays this game and potentially even the next F1 game might just be a steaming hot pile of garbage. So, there will be drivers, myself included, who just simply haven't gotten to grips with this game, and I don't want to say refuse to, but at times it seems as if just simply not able to. Maybe Murfancelli is one of those drivers, maybe not. I'm not quite sure his situation. It is good to see him and cast another one of his races. Really nice guy. A very good guy to chat with himself, as I believe he's just been passed there. It is by Ray. He has spun and will be coming back again. It is Big Rye Guy, 98 in the Haas, 111.489. Puts 2/100ths of a second back to Jose Miguel in the McLaren. Jose Miguel, by the way, on a timed lap with just over 5 minutes to go here left in the qualifying session. Let's see what he's got through Sector 1 now. And he is slower just by, I would say, 2/100ths of a second. It's not actually a bad gap. You can make that up on the circuit. That first sector, very technical, very tricky as well. Jose Miguel now through turn 9. Let's see what he's got. Now through 10. How well does he hold the throttle and exited the corner? Doesn't really use the curb. May have touched it a little bit, but not enough. Now goes purple sector 2, just under a tenth better that time. Oh, and I think maybe has that Aston Martin got in his way. It was Mediati. And I tell you what, I don't want to make assumptions, but that was right close, that was. And I think Jose Miguel maybe has thought that the Aston Martin of Mediati did get in his way. I tell you what, that one was right close then. Mediotti did his best to kind of get out of the way, and I'm afraid I don't want to say he's impeded the hot lap of Jose Miguel there. It's tough to tell, but perhaps did Jose Miguel think that he did get in his way. We've got Ray who's off to the inside of the circuit now through the grass. An Italian lawnmower, as it turns out. As it looks like Ray is going to be making his way back to the pits here. Meanwhile, Mediotti, I believe, now the broadcast team has been corrected on how to pronounce his name. It's not Media, it is Mediotti, which is an Italian name. I believe it translates to meditated? Interesting. It does sound better in Italian than it does in English, I'll give it that. I don't recall seeing him ever, to be honest. I'm not sure if he's a new driver, or I just haven't had the pleasure of calling one of his races. Buonasera e benvenuti alla Divisione 3 for Mediotti. If that was bad and I botched that Italian totally, please don't laugh. I'm trying my best. And he's back out on track once more. Mediotti in the Aston Martin. I believe we have DRL Racer X. That's a sweet name. It's got some kick to that one, has to be said. He's making his way through Sector 1 now. It doesn't look like this is his time lap. This is going to be his, I don't want to say installation lap, more or less. So this is going to be his lap to get up to the grips with whatever perhaps changes he's made to the setup. Have to wait and see how this one turns out. I believe we have an Alpine crossing the line next. It is MMR Gabagai, who, don't look now, 0.4 of a second quicker through Sector 3, through Sector 2, rather. He does improve, and still only able to put himself up to P11, and don't look now, but himself in dead text message, dead on even, on time. Both of them, 0.9 of a second, 0.988. Off of provisional pole of Big Rye Guy. And I thought it was a three-way there for a second as Alex. It's 0.998 instead of 0.988. A little brain didn't work there. But look how close this is as well. Call me maybe in worse company, separated by 1/1000th. Never mind the battle for provisional pole, off by 2 100ths. We've got everybody within the top 12 separated by less than a second. Albeit barely less than a second, but less than a second. That is incredible to see. That is the gap you'd like to see. Really, that tells you it's going to be an interesting Grand Prix. Big Rye Guy on his outlap here, as I believe that's Mediotti next to him. Let's see what he's got. We haven't really quite mentioned his name too often yet. Makes his way now through turns 7 and 8 with 1.5 minutes left in the session. Heavy over the curb on his way out of 7 and 8. That may have hurt his time. I'm not quite sure. Tough to tell. Makes his way through turn 10 now. Exit curb again. DRS, I believe he clipped a little bit of the grass there on exits. Yeah, he's currently... Yeah, he's about 1/4 of a second off of his best at the moment. Gabagai's just retired. Like to believe that that's in the pits. As Mediotti now making his way through turns 13 and 14. I don't necessarily believe this is going to be a lap to hold on to. Let's go ahead and find out. To the line he goes. Yeah, he is slower by about 1/2 a second there. And I believe that is going to be his final attempt. Meanwhile, Big Rye Guy on his way now. Let's see what the driver of the Haas has got with 1/2 minute to go left in the qualifying session through turn 1. We've got a slow Alfa Romeo on exit of the corner. It looks as if it is Ray, who has spun around yet again. This is about the second time we've seen him have a spinning predicament, and he's lost the bit of the front wing as well. But meanwhile, Jose Miguel's gone provisional pole, 1:11.237, puts 1/4 of a second back to Big Rye Guy, who through Sector 1 at the moment is only faster by 8 100ths of a second. It is purple nonetheless. I believe Ray may have accidentally impeded a hot lap there, as it looks like Alex has gone off, and that going through turn 14. That is a very unideal place to lose the car. That much is for sure. DRL Racer X doesn't really have much to do there. He's on low fuel. Call me maybe through the corner now, and that really might just get in the way of a fair bit of drivers there. Call me maybe coming through the final corner now. What does he have? Across the line. Slow by over 1/10. I believe Pork Chops has just gone to the line. No, it was Mediotti who goes, yeah, that's a 7.5 tenths. The big Rye guy to the line. What does he have? And he does improve by a tenth and a half, but is not enough. He stays outside of a tenth on Jose Miguel. Murphin Sally out of the final corner now on low fuel mode. I don't believe this is going to be his attempt to better that time. Jose Miguel out of the final corner. He is on low fuel as well. Ray making his way. Dead text messages next to the line. Does he have anything? Nope, he has entered the pits. Only a couple drivers left out on track. DRL Racer X, one of them, Ray, on his way into the pits, and that is going to do it for our qualifying session. It is Jose Miguel on provisional pole. Here at Zandvoort, it's Big Rye Guy second, Not Gravity in third. But I tell you what, Jose Miguel, 2 weeks ago, the winner in Australia, he'll be happy to get back onto the front row of the grid here tonight. Starting grid for the Dutch Grand Prix here in the Midwest F1 League. It is Jose Miguel on pole by a tenth over Big Rye Guy, Not Gravity third, EDA Murphin Sally in fourth, Ray fifth, EA Worst Company sixth, seventh is Soy Loco, eighth Call Me Maybe, ninth is DRL Racer X, 10th is Noganator, 11th Dead Text Message Mediati's 12th, 13th is Gavagai, 14th is Alex, 15th is Pork Chop, 16th S7, 17th is Beamer Blunt, 18th is Maxo, and unfortunately for Final Flame and Brian Mosser, they did not get the opportunity to put in a timed lap. Very close amongst the top 12 drivers throughout the early stages of qualifying. Since then, Jose Miguel's put a little bit more of a gap back to them. It'll be an interesting race. Let's find out what happens. So we are 25 seconds away from our formation lap here in the Netherlands, round number 4 of the Division 3 season here in the Midwest F1 League. I'd like to remind you, Midwest F1 and the rest of the eSports League is, that, as a matter of fact, brought to you both by Epos Audio and Raise Energy. Should be very entertaining Grand Prix here today. It's a very technical and challenging track, but I tell you what, these Division 3 drivers, they don't give a damn. They are ready to put it on the line, and that, I have to say, I'm very happy about. Tire strategy tonight. Let's go ahead and see what tires people have chosen to be on here. I would assume it's a majority of medium and hards, and, well, that is exactly the case. 4 drivers electing to go on the hard tires. Ray, DRL Racer X, S7, and Beamer. Everybody else choosing the medium tires. Now, interesting thing with the medium tires on this circuit, there is a fair bit of window in towards... the pit window is quite large here. These medium tires will last you anywhere between 15 and 22 laps. You can definitely try to stretch the envelope with them, or you can play it conservatively and spend more time on the hards. I'm thinking perhaps do we see the drivers on the hards at some point perhaps pit for the softs, because it has to be said, I believe in the game, I believe in real life as in the game, these are the hardest 3 compounds in the Pirelli range, the C1, C2, and C3. So assuming that the hards is the C1, they will last quite a while, and according to the game, they'll last anywhere from 26 to 30 laps. Mediums 15 to 22, soft 10 to 12. Not really a lot of room on the soft tires. So I would assume those lads on the hards are either going to wait for that opportune window to switch to the mediums, and I'm assuming those people that start on the mediums are going to wait to switch. Perhaps even, I would say, we might see those stops at the first safety car, assuming it's sometime after 6 laps. It's an interesting, it's very interesting to call, isn't it? Because we don't typically have this situation where there's room to play about with the tire strategy, with the tire lives. Typically it's, you get the set of tires, the pit window maybe only 2 or 3 laps long. Tonight, 15 to 22 should be very interesting to see. Jose Miguel, he's going to be lining up on the left side of the circuit. He will not, and we saw this last week in Japan as well in Division 1, he will not have that much of an advantage into the first corner. Assuming Big Rye Guy gets a good launch off the line, he may just have himself the lead by the time coming out of turn 1. It's going to be very interesting to see, and goodness gracious, this is looking to be a very, very solid start. I say start to the Division 3 season. We are 4 races deep now, but we'll have to wait and see what comes about. Can I get a better camera angle than this? I don't believe the game is going to say yes. As the cars lined up here, we have lights turning on 1, 2, 3, 4, and Well, somehow 5. That was right quickly, and lights out. And away we go. It's Jose Miguel, who's gotten a better jump off the line than Big Rye Guy. We've got the Williams to the outside. He's going to be going around the outside of the Haas of Big Rye Guy. It's 2x2. Almost 4 abreast back there throughout the midfield. On their way back, Jose Miguel was able to retain the lead, and it looks like Gravity's gotten around, almost able to get around Rye Guy there. EDM Murfincelli trying to hang around the outside of Soy Loco. There is the exit turn 3. Wheel to wheel between these two. Murfincelli's been hit off track, but somehow keeps the car under control, and it looks back. It's EA Worst Company and DRL X Racer X here, battling it out temporarily. He's got the Alfa Romeo ahead of him of dead text message, and somehow I think we've kept it all right, except it's MMR Gabagai's been spun there. Big incident. 2 cars involved. It's Mediotti. Oh, and I think Mediotti's almost just chopped Brian Mosser in half. That one is close. May see a safety car here. There's front wings littered everywhere. One of them being from the Aston Martin of Mediotti, and I believe Gabagai missing some of his as well. Yes, he is. Multiple front wings lost, and then another, I believe. That was this is a very interesting turn of events here. We got multiple slow cars in the way. I believe Mediotti's trying to let cars out of the way, and that's what's triggering the yellow flags. So false alarm there, but it is Jose Miguel leading the pack through the first lap of the Grand Prix. Fastest lap for him, but look at Big Rye Guy. He's got a lunge down to the inside, and he didn't end up committing to it, but by goodness me, he had the look, and I think that is about as much as you can ask for there, and he is right in pursuit of the McLaren ahead. Let's see what line he takes into turn 3. Almost runs into the back of the McLaren, but decides to hit the brakes more firm than he originally thought he was going to, and thankfully keeps it off the back of the McLaren. Not Gravity in third, kind of hunting down the Haas in front of him into the grass there. Let's look and see who's gained and lost what. Ray Ray's up 1, Soy Loco's up 2, Murfincelli's down 2. Noganator's down 7. He's the biggest loser. That and Gabagai. Final Flame is up 7. Dead text message up 4. So it looks like if you're within the top 3, you've stayed the same here. Everybody else is rather up and down something. DRL Racer X has stayed the same at P9. And it looks like, I tell you what, despite not having DRS here, there is definitely a lot of action to be had, but we do have Gabagai. He's gone off through turn 3 here. Thankfully, it doesn't look as if he's hit anything. Oh, goodness me! And he's put Pork Chops on the wall inadvertently there, but that one's going to be a penalty. Pork Chops had just come out of the pits, which what I believe was a front wing change. Gabagai had gone high through the corner. Pork Chops, I think he perhaps wanted to go high himself to evade Gabagai, and I'm afraid Gaba's put him in the outside wall going through turn 3. That one, the stewards will definitely be having a look at that, it has to be said. My oh my, that one not ideal whatsoever, and I believe we do have Gabagai spun it out again, this time through the polystyrene braking marker boards on the side of the track, and he is right in the way of the leaders as well. He's going to need to get out of the way here right shortly, as the leaders now, Jose Miguel, followed by Big Rye Guy, making their way into turn 10. And there goes Gabagai spinning it out there and then reversing off the circuits. I don't want to say in style, that's probably the wrong word, but thankfully he has gotten out of the way for the leaders, and we won't have to worry about that one. And it looks like both Jose Miguel and Big Rye Guy pretty much dead even on pace at the moment. Oh, I believe we've got another incident towards the back. That, I believe we've just had a Mercedes go off there. It was tough to tell. Was it Brian Mosser? It was quite interesting to tell there, because yet again the cars look slow on the circuit. It's tough to say. Big Rye Guy closing down to Jose Miguel ahead. That gap within 0.4 of a second, but he'll have to hold on until coming out of turn 10. That might just be a task for the Haas driver here, as Jose Miguel looks to have an absolute stranglehold on the field at the moment. Looking back, Murfincelli might have a look at Soy Loco here shortly. He's within 0.3 of a second. As much as you want to be close to other drivers, as you would in motor racing, maybe not so much on this circuit. There is not a lot of room for error. Murfincelli's going heavy over that inside curve. Gabagai picks up 5 seconds for speeding in the pit lane, and then finally decides to DNF in the pits. It's been a very not good day for him. Murfincelli nearly loses the car through over the apex curve of turn 9, and thankfully he was able to hold on to it, but he's lost quite a chunk of time there. And speaking of chunk of time, oh, and this is interesting here. Big Rye Guy's plowed straight into the back of Jose Miguel, and he's gotten Gravity as well, and it's an absolute conundrum through turn 12. What in the hell was that? And how Gravity managed to escape without any damage. Jose Miguel only drops to second. Big Rye Guy is off again. And now we have an absolute slew of drivers coming into the pits, and I say slew. Jose Miguel's the only one that chose to come in. Meanwhile, back to him, Soy Loco came in as well. That one. Oh, that. Well, it has to be said the stewards are going to be having a look at that one as well, because it's very obvious as Big Rye Guy does retire from the session in the pits. Well, that... We saw it a couple times early on. We did see that Big Rye Guy was getting right close to the back, to the diffuser to that of Jose Miguel, and I'm afraid this has really just turned the complexion of this race on its head, because Not Gravity takes the lead, Murfancelli second, Ray Ray in third, and it's an Italian second through fourth, as well as DRL Racer X in sixth, trying to close in on EA Worst Company here in fifth. What an unprecedented turn of events that was. Mediati goes fastest 1:14.684. Man, as Alex, I believe, just getting around Comey maybe there, as Comey, well, he's spun it going through turn 10. Perhaps on the curb on the inside of the track, Pork Chops picked up 5 seconds for ignoring the blue flags. Comey maybe, I believe, has just had a spin there going through the apex curb of turn 10. Because he was off at the inside of the circuit, and that one was odd. Dead text message here, side by side with his teammate of Ray Ray into the first corner, as in behind, EA Worst Company looks to perhaps get a move made here on the Italians. I don't think he will. Oh, I think he wanted the inside of dead text message there, thought better of it. He's going to try it around the outside. No, and he doesn't. Well, I tell you what, perhaps he shouldn't have hesitated there. I'm not going to lie. Because I think he could have had at least one of those spots. But he chose to play it safe, and by goodness me, I think playing it safe might be not a very bad idea so far today. 6 laps completed of 36 schedules. Final Flame is retired in the pits. We've got 3 DNFs, 2 of which belong to the Alpine stable. In the final, the Haas of Big Rye Guy. Let's see if EA Worst Company can make a move here. It's going to go big dive down to the inside on dead text message. Thankfully, it played out safely then. That was quite the lunge from EA then. And I'm right thankful that that one didn't end poorly, because if it did, that would have been an absolute monstrosity then. Quite the dive. Almost made it work, in fairness to him. But let's see if he can have anything now. He's going to check down to the inside of dead text message on their way into the first corner. He does have it. Almost gets 2. Hits the back of Ray Ray. And then I believe... Did he get tapped from dead text message? I believe he did. Now, dead text message doesn't have any visible wing damage. I don't think the contact was that hard. But by goodness, that one was right close. And EA Worst Company, I will say, has been right on it in really putting these attempts together. But my goodness me, that one I think could have been taken with a little bit more care, if I'm honest. Oh, and that's not ideal. Not Gravity has spun it. Going out of turn 8, and Murfancelli, after all is said and done, has inherited the lead of this Grand Prix. Who would have thought that? The driver who was -2 off the start now finds himself in the lead of the Grand Prix. Wow. I will say, a track that in real life doesn't always produce the action. It sure is today. And again, that is typically the case with some of these tracks in the game, at least. I know Japan is definitely that case. Hungary. Now, I hate Hungary in real life, especially playing it myself in the game. By goodness me, it does put on some spectacular races here in the Midwest Esports League. EA Worst Company almost had a look at Ray Ray then. Chose not to. Let's see if he gives it a go this time. Wanted to look high through turn 3. Didn't have the ability to do so. Dead text message trying his best to close in on this battle as well. If you'd believe it, DRS was just simply not a big factor in the race so far today. Jose Miguel does get around Soy Loco, but for how long? As Soy Loco is right there, and he's right on it as well. I tell you what, he almost had another look. Oh, there he goes. Around the outside, perhaps. Runs out of real estate, but then switches down to the inside. And Soy Loco, it's a brilliant battle this, despite being for P13. And Jose Miguel will keep himself ahead of Soy Loco for the time being, as DRL, Racer X, and Dead Text Message side by side into turn 11, and Racer X gets the better of him there. Oh, but that's an Aston Martin that's gone off, and it's Pork Chops, and a hefty amount of front wing is found against the Armco barriers on the outside of the circuit. Now, we've seen a hefty amount of front wings lost, and I'm thankful they weren't actually on the circuit, because if they were, we would be looking at safety cars. That's not the case, as it looks like side by side for the third spot, EA Worst Company and Ray Ray. EA finally has it. Oh, Murphy-Selly's gone off! Oh, and another contact! Goodness me, what is happening? DNF there on exits. Oh, actually, entry of turn 3. Safety car out. Twice now we've seen. Actually, never mind twice. 3 different times the leader of the race has been fought with shown adversity here. Jose Miguel ran into by Rye Guy. We had Gravity spin it a couple of laps ago coming out of turn 8. And Murphy-Selly binned it on the way in to turn number 3. Yeah. Wow. Unprecedented display here. Has to be said. And yet again, and we saw that in the qualifying session. I forget who it was with, but we did see a similar incident to that. Where I believe just maybe caught the oversteer in through turn 2, wasn't able to get the car back down and up in towards turn 3, and the car slid up the circuit, and unfortunately met the Tech Pro barriers on the exit of the corner. On the entry to the corner, rather. I would assume if you're on the medium tires, you're going to be coming in now. This would be the time to make that transition from medium to hard. Hard to medium won't be happening yet, I don't think. We've had Maxo go to the softs. Pork Chops go to the softs as well. That's a little odd. Mediati's gone medium. Noganator's gone hard. Mediati's gone hard. DRL, Racer X, and Ray Ray stay out. Gravity comes in. Remember, he had the spin not long ago we were just mentioning. Brian Mosser in 4th. He stays out on the mediums. That might be a bold decision there. Has to be said. EA comes out 5th. Beamer 6th. Who, he started on the hard, so he would have stayed out naturally. So as it stands now, only 4 drivers on the grid have yet to stop. Racer X, Ray Ray, Brian, and Beamer. What a turn of events to this Grand Prix. Absolutely unprecedented here. Well, while the safety car sorts itself out, I'm going to step aside. But my goodness me, what a race we're having so far. This is an odd turn of events here. Jose Miguel has been disqualified for being parked in a dangerous location. This, in turn 3, that was a little odd. Because he had stopped dead on the way in towards... turn 3, and that... Yeah, that's a little odd. That's a little odd, has to be said. Looks like we're going to have one more lap of the safety car here. Oh, and look at this, Beamer's gone off. What in the hell is this? So, I hate to say he's pulled a Roman Grosjean. Thankfully for him, he's not DNF'd, but he has certainly spun on the way in towards turn 3 behind the safety car. Man, I mean... if you had yourself a bingo sheet for this race, surely it's all been filled out by now. Goodness great, I can't believe the events that have transpired so far. We're not even halfway through the race yet. I would assume... Actually, I'm not very often lost for words, but I am here. Safety car on its way in. Racer X has somehow inherited the lead of this Grand Prix, has to be said. Well, he's got it. Ray second, Gravity third, EA fourth. And as we get back to green here, remember, it's at the control of Racer X. The safety car is in the pit lane. He can go whenever he pleases. He's going to choose to back up the grid just a little bit more. And as they enter the pit straight now, he still hasn't gone. Look at this. He still hasn't gone. He's even with the pit wall. And now on his way. And Gravity's going to overtake Ray perhaps in the first corner. That was a very interesting turn of events off the safety car here. We got a yellow flag already. I believe it's one of the Aston Martins letting themselves out of the way for the lead pack of cars. What in the hell? Anyways, so we've got here, this is Noganator, I believe was alongside Maxo for a second. Remember, Maxo, well, he goes down to the inside. What an overtake that was. Well, he went down the inside of Noganator then. Well, okay, that was brilliant. I know he's on the soft compound tires. That one was still a bit ridiculous then. Gravity here within 0.2 of a second on Ray as they make their way through turns. 8 and 9 here. He's going to look down to the inside. Does he have it into turn 9 rather? He might. Does he have the outside through 10? Does he pull off the switchback down to the inside? That might be what he does. That, I think, is exactly what he's going to try to do. He's slapped the battery percentage here. Let's see if he perhaps has a move into turn 11. The answer is no, and I think he might. It doesn't. Oh, but Ray's gone high through that corner. Gravity's alongside him now. And Ray, I think because he's taken the high line, got better acceleration. I say high line, I think he's just understeered his way up the circuit. That, I believe, is more or less what happened. Gets into the grasses, Ray. Gravity's all over the back of him, and now Gravity down to the inside. Racer X has pulled out a 2.5-second lead over these two. And not Gravity's going to go down to the inside, and perhaps, is he going to be able to make the overtake stick? It looks like the answer is going to be yes. And Maxo's gone off. Oh, that's in the pits. All right, Jesus, I almost had a heart attack yet again. What an unbelievable turn of events this race has been. As Beamer hunting down the back of Brian Mosser here. Ray still within 0.3 of a second of Gravity. EA Worst Company now trying to find pace here. Back to Ray. No DRS yet. He's chosen not to use his energy store either. Still getting ever closer to the Alfa Romeo ahead of him. Ray, it has to be said, seems like he's been struggling on his line through 11 and 12. That seems to have been the case, because yet again, he's not necessarily taken the line through 12 as clean as I would have liked to have seen. Might have a move here between the two Mercedes, maybe not. EA now, he's got the slipstream and battery down to the inside. Oh, he's going for it! Into the corner, Ray knows he's there. He's given him the space. Side by side, and Ray stays ahead for now. I think Ray, he's had to defend from EA a couple times already this Grand Prix. He knows that EA is not afraid to take that line and to make that lunge. And I think Ray knows he's got Ray on his heels. And perhaps EA, that's part of his game. Is he perhaps trying to force Ray into him aggressively, force Ray into a mistake, and perhaps make that position happen? That is what I would assume he's going for here. Now we have dead text message back to Alex. Worst Company was temporarily within less than 0.2 of a second back. It's not ended up that way. Soy Loco looks around the outside of Noganator, forced onto the curb. DRS open here for the Red Bull. Side by side into 11. No, he's going to back into line. I think that was probably the right decision to make there from Soy Loco. I don't think he was going to make the overtake happen. Had a fair look at it, to be honest. Had a really good effort, but he ran out of real estate right quickly. And now does Soy Loco perhaps have a move now on Noganator as they exit the corner? Soy Loco almost hit the barrier coming off the corner there. It's Alex and dead text message. Ahead of them is Ray and EA. Both Alfa Romeos under pressure here, and I believe the contact was made between dead text message and Alex there. Ray and EA still side by side. Now into turn 3. Contact made. EA slides up the track, bumps into Ray, and Ray's been forced wide and will lose spots. Oh, and behind, that's Noganator. And Noganator's off track and he's retired. And the safety car out yet again. Noganator, one of the leading drivers for Williams this season, found himself second in the championship heading into tonight. And I'm afraid this one has all gone spinning away from him. Very unfortunate turn of events for the Williams driver. And this will yet again neutralize the field. So now, 20 laps to go. Do we see drivers for the mediums? That one is a very interesting question. The game says you can make it 22 laps on the medium tires. They've only just recently pit for the hard tires, unless your name is DRL Racer X, which, by the way, the pace he's been able to put on the rest of the grid, considering his old tires, quite impressive. His first stop of the day in now. Does anyone else choose to follow in? Dead text message does. Sorry, it's actually Ray Ray that does. And I'm concerned, does Ray Ray perhaps have damage? Because he has been in a fair bit of fights here. Yes, the front wing will be coming off for Ray Ray here. Haas of Beamer goes in ahead of him, front wing being adjusted. And Ray Ray will be coming back out on track, so not Gravity after it's all said and done yet again. Will take the lead of the Grand Prix. I've actually lost count of the number of lead changes we've had so far today. EA Worst Company gets promoted up to second. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but EA might have to answer to the stewards later tonight, because I would hate to assume that he's done anything on purpose, but he was side by side with Ray Ray in towards turn 3. And you saw how he either locked up or just continued straight on. And he shoved Ray Ray off track. And I tell you what, we'd hate to see it if that was the case, but I would be probably correct in assuming he might answer to some penalties later on. We do have, out of the full 20 cars that started the Grand Prix, we are down to the unlucky number of 13. I believe. Oh, who's this coming back? S7. Pork Chops is in line. Although Pork Chops, I believe, is a couple of laps down now. Yeah, Pork Chops is going to be coming in once more. I believe this will... soft tires for Pork Chops. So only 3 drivers pit that time. Racer X, Beamer pit for tires. Ray Ray pit for tires in the front wing change. And I'll let the safety car sort itself out here. Wow. Car decides to make its way in this time. Gravity has taken the lead of the race now. Mind you, he is in the seat of Knuckles, the championship leader. Knuckles, I believe, is reserving up in Division 2. Could be wrong. Not quite sure. EA Worst Company up to second, plus or minus penalties. We'll have to wait and see. The text message third. Alex up 10. Brian Bosser up 13. Incredible stuff here. I tell you what, you could not have scripted this race, that's for sure. Gravity will lead the grid back to green here. He's not immediately under pressure, but someone who is the Alfa Romeo of dead text message, because down to the inside goes the Italian, I believe he's Italian, of Alex. He at least flies under the Italian flag. I don't know if he's actually Italian or not, but what he has actually done is made the spot. I tell you what, Soy Loco has lost a spot. He's going to go high. Dead text message down to the inside. Another yellow flag, and it's the Alfa Romeo of Ray Ray, I'm afraid, who may have a spun going in towards turn 3. Very similar to that of what Murph and Selly had done. Beamer and DRL were... Oh, a dead text message, no! Both Alfa Romeos having spins there on this lap of the Grand Prix. Oh, God almighty, and they've taken each other out! What the hell? And just for fun, DRL Racer X has spun it as well. But more importantly, the Alfa Romeos have taken each other out! And the safety car once more! And it has to be said, I don't really think it was at the fault of dead text message either. He had spun through the corner, and he was... Now, naturally, the back tires were on the grass. And so he spun the tires trying to get the car back on the circuit. It was a blind corner as well, in fairness to Ray Ray. He could never have seen him. Oh. I mean, I don't even know what to say anymore. Very rarely am I lost for words in a Grand Prix. Again, fill out your bingo cards. My goodness me, you would have never seen, you would have never have guessed how this race would play out. 3 drivers onto the way into the pits. S7 comes in, I believe this is his 3rd stop. DRL Racer X retires from the session. That whittles it down to 10 left on track. I'm not actually sure why DRL Racer X retired. I don't believe he's necessarily had reason to. Well, I don't necessarily think we're going to be seeing any more drivers come into the pits or anything else happen, so I'm going to let the safety car sort itself out here. Ugh, this is going to make... I'm going to be forced to not put in the qualifying session with how long this race is taking because of these safety cars. It has to be said. The safety car making almost what I would say an unwise decision to come in. We're down to 10, one of which I believe at least a lap down, which is Pork Chop's P10. I don't even know what to say. I really don't. I think the Division 3 stewards, and last week they had themselves a handful as well. They might just have themselves another handful this week. Not Gravity leading the grid back to green here. Eventually, EA Worst Company in second behind. And I think, well, I tell you what, they've gotten away quite evenly there. In fact, I'd say the Red Bull's gotten a little bit better, and will maybe not. He's going to switch down to the inside. Soy Loco on the outside of MMR Alex for the 3rd spot, and Soy Loco, oh, that's contact with the side there. I don't think any wing damage was lost. So Alex trying to swing back, and Alex spins! And, oh, don't spin, well, okay, thank you. Okay, now you can go. That one I'm inclined to say... I don't even know. I didn't know he was racing at Monaco this week, and Brian Mosser has DNF'd in the middle of the circuit as well. We might even look at another safety car here. That is right planted in the middle of the racing circuit. Right in the racing line. Look at it. Yep, Alex is very much had to slam on the brakes there. Down to 9. I can't even. This is unprecedented. We're left with 9. Brian Mosser, who, by the way, was having a damn good day to this point, was up 11 spots, at least that's what it says. Pork Chops picked up 5 seconds for ignoring the blue flags. I'm not really sure why that's the case. Nobody's immediately behind. Well, I guess that's not true. I guess we get past there. Mediotti, by the way, up to P5 after the start of his race that he had. Was certainly not ideal. He's been able to keep it out of trouble to this point. Don't look now. And Alex is retired. You gotta be kidding me. And the safety car again. And yet again, the safety car makes the unwise decision to come in this lap. It'll be approaching, 11 laps to go. 36, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, math. I don't even care. We're down to 7 cars. That's part 1. Part 2 is... they aren't all really within striking range of each other. This one... okay, we're down to 8 cars. Sorry about that. Pork Chops is, I think, down by 2 laps now. Almost. The 7 cars that remain in contention for this win are very well within their own... I don't even know the words. I can't tell. I don't know if I want to see anymore. We've got Pork Chops getting out of the way there for the cars. But now it seems, does Soy Loco make any moves on his teammate of EA Worst Company here? Because, naturally, EA Worst Company, I mean, battling for points from Division 4, he's been called up tonight. Soy Loco down to the inside past his teammate. EA Worst Company's still there. This has put a second back to Call Me Maybe. Mediotti's back there as well. From the start of the race that he had up to now. Oh, goodness gracious. But now a battle for the lead. It's Soy Loco and not Gravity. We're side by side momentarily. Soy Loco, as it looks like Beamer getting around Mediotti there. Soy Loco really put the pressure to the Williams ahead, but unfortunately was not able to make the overtake stick, as this time by will be coming to 10 laps to go, and I believe EA has just completely cut the chicane there. Will eventually lose the spot to Call Me Maybe. Yes, he does. Has been bumped off the podium now. Beamer in pursuit of this as well. S7 in pursuit of Mediotti. EA might have the move that Call Me Maybe. Soy Loco starting to fall off the back of Gravity a bit. There's Beamer to the outside of EA as they go around turn number 1. Car off to the inside, it's Soy Loco! Thankfully, he's not DNF'd, but he has crashed, and he has lost his front wing as well. Just goes from bad to worse. Soy Loco, in his own right, as we have Call Me Maybe battling Beamer here. Gravity might just escape with a win, and by escape, I mean literally escape. He may seriously drive his car through one of the openings in the barrier for where the stewards come out and somehow find an exit of the circuit. Because by goodness me, it'll mean survival at this point. Soy Loco, I mean, he will, I think, finish the Grand Prix. Good for him. Unfortunately, that brings down our cars in contention to 6. And all the while, Not Gravity has eclipsed a 2-second lead to that of Call Me Maybe. No DRS yet. Now the DRS is enabled. It won't be in effect until they get out of turn 10. Beamer here to the back of Call Me Maybe through turn number 1. Looks as if Call Me Maybe stays ahead, but I think the Haas has gotten better acceleration now through turns 2 and 3. The outside looks the Haas, nothing there. In behind, EA was kind of looking for it, but not really. Mediotti not... Well, he's closing in on EA. Got S7 trying to close in on the Aston Martin, but meanwhile, it is still a battle for the second spot. Within 0.2 of a second. Oh, but I think the Haas has probably botched that braking zone there almost. Perhaps ran to the back of Call Me Maybe. And I think did the right thing and got himself out of the way. Let's see here, 3-car battle for the 4th spot. S7 in pursuit of Mediotti. Mediotti in pursuit of EA. EA, as we see here, we've got the Haas. Well, we got right close then to making the overtake, I think. Well, I tell you what, Call Me Maybe won't have DRS to the back of Gravity, so this might be the opportunity for the Haas. We'll have to wait and see. He is quite low on his battery store, as you can see, down to his last 20%. That may not be enough to make this overtake happen. He's going to stay within the slipstream down to the inside, as we do have Soy Loco, I believe, has crashed again this time. That's going through turn 9 of the apex of 9. S7 has gotten around Mediotti there, and that one looked right clean, to the naked eye at least. Oh, no, and S7 is retired! That corner, in particular, and the safety car out again. I mean, this corner has caught many drivers out today just on pure driver error. And by God Almighty, we are now down to 7 on track. Soy Loco and Pork, they say 47 seconds behind. Is Pork missing a bit of his front wing? He may. So realistically, we have Pork down by 45, considering he's got 47 rather, considering he's got the 5-second penalty. Soy Loco in the pits, and the safety car again. Well, let's see if anything happens here. Let's see if perhaps. No, it doesn't look like anyone chooses to come in. Oh, the Haas of Beamer has. So it looks... No? Well, I thought the safety car would be coming in. It chose not to in the end. So interesting turn of events, this one. We've just had Mediotti come in for a pit stop. His 4th of the day. Even odder than that, he's attached 21 lap old hards. It would be my best guess that is the only set of tires that he had left remaining. Gravity and Maybe are on 22 lap old hards apiece, and then we also have Beamer and EA fresh softs, Soy Loco fresh softs as well. It very well could be a dash to the finish here in Division 3. Lost for words, absolutely lost for words here, and I think it's very difficult to say because I think there was a lot of mischievous activities happening tonight. There's also been a lot of pure driver errors that have accounted for some of the DNFs tonight. That has to be said. A lot of it, driver error. That part is true. I mean, let's see. Can I count which DNFs were on driver error? S7, I think. Alex, Brian, Racer retired in the pits. Ray and Dead Text Message. I would say that's on the error of Dead Text Message, considering he had spun and they'd crashed into each other. Noganator and Maxo, I honestly forgot. Murfincelli spun into turn 3. Final Flame retired in the pits. Big Rye Guy retired in the pits. Gabba Guy, something happened with him. I don't even remember. And Jose Miguel got disqualified because the car, I don't know if it was on him or what happened, but the car had stopped under safety car in turn 2, and the game disqualified him. We do have 33, 34, 35, and 36. 4, count them, 4 laps to go. 6 cars in contention for the win, and already Soy Loco down to the inside of Mediotti, and it looks ahead. Beamer is going to try to hold on to the spot here. EA Wars Company getting down past Pork Chops here. Pork Chops, once again, I think at least a lap down at this point. We do have not Gravity yet again pulling away, and it's Call Me Maybe under pressure from the Haas behind of Beamer. Can he perhaps find something here? Yet again, very heavy on the brakes and almost running into the back of the Mercedes. It is a battle for a driver who is on fresh softs to a driver on 23 lap old hard tires. This one's going to be interesting. In fact, here comes EA Wars Company down to the inside. He's going to have the outside line through turn 10. He's going to wait for Beamer to try and maybe switch back to the outside. No DRS yet. Battery being used here. Call Me Maybe he's going to switch to the inside of the circuit. He's going to defend the line into 11. Here comes EA. Heavy dive into the side. That time of Call Me Maybe. Somehow I don't want to say he's gotten away with it. That was ballsy, that one. And we do have another yellow flag. It is Soy Loco, I believe, was slow then. As EA, I don't want to say torpedoes, that might not be the right word, but he lunges himself into a P3, and then I think he's given the spot back to Beamer. I'm not entirely sure what's happened, but now we have Beamer, who's on the diffuser of Call Me Maybe here. Battle for the second spot still. Call Me has done his best to avoid, I don't want to say, I don't think distraction is the right word, perhaps avoid the melee that this race has been. And now Beamer's going to try it heavy on the curb, and he bumps into the Mercedes, and the Mercedes spins. And the Mercedes, oh, by goodness me. And then the Red Bull spins, just for, what do you call it, sympathy? I'm going to be completely honest, guys. I do not think it would be right for me to validate this race anymore. I think I'm going to... Yeah. has to be said, thankfully, not gravity is going to put this race out of its misery. He will win the Dutch Grand Prix. I do not necessarily believe that as Mediati is going to finish out the podium here, EA gets second. I do not believe this race deserves the rundown. We will see you next week in Hungary. Hotspot, thank you for joining us on this call. We'll see you next time.